I'm Dan Carscallon. I live at 318 South Cleveland. I want to just say thanks for funding the bridge. I moved there in 2001, and I grew up in Moscow, and Larry Hodge should have built that bridge when they built that subdivision in the first place, and I'm not going to lay it on Scott while he's here. But it does take the pressure off the other neighborhoods, and one of the unique things about it that I have personally had trouble with is in emergency response that it's the same address block on both sides of the creek, so that kind of makes things inconvenient when we've got resident firefighters that rotate through and don't know the features of the city like that. So having that bridge would help a lot as far as emergency responses. And plus, I'd only have to make one turn off to get to Mountain View to go to work. So that'd be nice too. And also, thanks for increasing that street repair budget. That's been a long time coming. I hope the new motor user tax is helping soften the blow a little bit. It's helped us at the highway district with our funding, so that's nice. Thank you for funding the new fire engine. I look forward to getting to play with that when it gets here. And hopefully we can replace all three of them in the near future, because they are very aged. We've actually had to, when the pump went out on the last one, they actually had to build the impeller for the pump, so that kind of gets inconvenient when you need something for emergency response. Also, with the fire department, thanks for funding that administrative position for EMS. That's really going to help our volunteers out. I know personally because, every 3 years we have to fill out so much paperwork to keep our certification in as an EMT, and it helps increase our volunteers' ability to do what they want to do. They sign up to respond to calls, not to do paperwork, not to work on budgets for the ambulance company. So it's going to, with the other increasing professional demands on the EMTs, it really helps out to have. It's going to help out to have that position. And also, I'm in favor of the $10 million bond. I think it's pretty nebulous at this point. It's been nebulous for a couple of years now, I think. But I also agree with what Kenton said, though, that there is a lot of overlap with the county, and I hope that we can kind of draw them into some discussions about some of those things that we got shot down with 10 years ago, sitting there at that table, and there was a lot of hurt feelings that day, I think, and hopefully we can move forward with them on some stuff too. But thank you, and I hope you approve the budget as is.
Thank you, Dan. And the county are our friends. Make no doubt about that, ladies and gentlemen, that we work really well with our county commissioners, and so that's a relationship that we very much enjoy. So absolutely. Yes, sir.
I'm Tim Bartholomew at 406 South Hayes Street. Mr. Mayor and council members, I want to speak to you about my displeasure with the 3rd Street vehicle bridge. I think that Moscow is a wonderful town, and the strategic plan ends with the statement that we want to be a great place to live and work. And I think that one of the things that makes Moscow really such a wonderful place to live is that it's so walkable. And I think that 3rd Street is one of those main pedestrian thoroughfares. We've got 6th Street, B Street, D Street. All of those have a lot of crosstown vehicle traffic. 3rd Street, which goes past Lena Whitmore, and then the high school, East City Park, our historic legacy anchor to the city's park system, goes right past our city hall, past our well-designed, walkable Main Street. 3rd Street is the pedestrian connector that ties all of these together and makes walking so nice here in Moscow. And so I encourage you to maintain that walkable character. If you go out on a farmer's market on Saturdays, you'll see a steady stream of families walking down towards the farmer's market down 3rd Street, and then on the way back up from Main Street carrying flats of berries again on 3rd Street, because it's such a pleasant walk. It's a nice low gradient walk. It's easy walking. And then on these summer weekends like we've had recently, if you go into East City Park now, you see kids just running around in circles, learning to ride their bikes on the little hills, crossing 3rd Street, crossing Hayes Street, trying to get in and out of the park, trying to work safely, and running around like kids. And I think redirecting more traffic right past that core city park is going to put lives at risk and is going to significantly reduce the quality of East City Park and its value to families. And so there's already significant east-west crossings. We got 6th Street, B Street, D Street, F Street. And now you already have the money allocated for this vehicle bridge across 3rd Street. So I want to encourage you to act, to make a positive, forward-looking direction to maintain the walkable character. I think that this is something that you should feel proud about, maintaining this walkable nature, and that you will make a decision that's right for our communities and maintains some of that really wonderful character that Moscow, I think, has done such a good job with. So please respect that legacy of careful planning that is so clearly evident. The walkable nature of the city is one of my favorite parts about living here, and I hope that you'll maintain that and feel strongly and feel good about maintaining that character. Thanks.
Thank you, Tim. Tim hit that with 3 minutes and 1 second. I just want to share that. It was really, your timing was impeccable, sir.
Wayne Kraus, 1223 Public Avenue. Mr. Mayor, City Council, staff, it's all good to see you guys again. It's always a pleasure. Or it would be, except this is the first time I've been here in a long time. I really appreciate all the work that you did in the budget. Believe me, I know how dry that is. And it gets to be somewhat cumbersome. There's so many numbers, and it always interests me when somebody says, I'm going to take that budget and go down it line item by line item and see what it works, and you just can't do that. So thanks to the staff for all the hard work that they put into it. I support the budget. 3%, thanks for not taking foregone taxes. I appreciate that. I think there was a good comment that was made. Perhaps next year, if we do pass a bond, I know we passed the comprehensive plan, we passed the water rate study and the sewer rate studies for incremental increases every year. But perhaps it would be a good idea if we maybe just kind of passed over that next year if we do have a $10 million bond that gets passed. Okay, all that being said, I do support that bond, but the one I really wanted to talk about is, let's talk about the 3rd Street Bridge a little bit, because that seems to be the most contentious item. If you remember back in 2012, we did a multimodal transportation study, and in that there was a forecast of traffic volume over a variety of different streets depending upon how that bridge would be configured. So this was it was forecast to the year 2035. And they did it in 3 different manners. They did it with just a pedestrian bicycle bridge, or they did it with a complete bridge, or they did it with a full bridge with traffic calming methods put in to slow traffic down. And that would have been in that 4-block area between Paradise Creek and Hayes. Here's some numbers that I find are pretty interesting, because we wonder in 2035 what would the traffic be like if we didn't put the bridge in. Well, the only way we can look at that is they have the alternate number 1, which is the pedestrian bicycle bridge. Currently, if you take a look at, I have a small piece of paper here. If we look at Hayes, on the other side of 3rd Street, in other words, north of 3rd Street, currently about 3,900 vehicles. 2035, with just a bicycle pedestrian bridge, that number climbs to 4,600. If you put a multimodal bridge in with traffic calming, that number drops to 4,300. So it actually comes less. If you don't do anything, the numbers will be higher than if you put the bridge in, according to this study. If you take a look at 3rd Street, and my concern when I was on the council was, if we put this 3rd Street bridge in and it increases traffic so much on 3rd Street that when it hits that intersection at 3rd and Washington, that it creates so much congestion, then the state of Idaho is going to step in, because then it becomes Highway 8.
You need to wrap it up, Wayne.
Okay, real quick then. Numbers on 3rd Street. Without, this is down by City Hall, And without a bridge in 2035, 5,800 vehicles. With the bridge, with calming, 5,000 vehicles. And if we take a look at east of 3rd Street, east of Hayes, that number does climb. So the bottom line is this. If you don't put a bridge in, or if you put just a pedestrian bicycle bridge in, those vehicle numbers are actually going to increase on 3rd Street and Hayes. If you put a multi-vehicle bridge in with traffic calming, it's going to drop the numbers down. And always remember this, when you make a decision that's going to affect the entire community, make the best decision for the entire community.
Thanks, Wayne.
Yep, I'm Joanne Manita. I live 203 South Howard. I'm affected by the smoke, so I hope you can hear me. It seems such a shame to me that you've put in all this work on your beautiful budget, and it's so detailed, and now we're having the discussion about the 3rd Street Bridge. We were coming, the members of the Citizens for a Livable Community have been coming week after week after week, and you said, oh, the mayor and some of you said, we'll discuss it later. I didn't think this was going to be later. And as far as transparency of your budget, on the city website, there's just the summary. And I looked and looked and looked to see, because I heard that the 3rd Street Bridge was going to be part of the bond issue. Couldn't find it anywhere. So finally I called up and they said, well, come down. That's just the summary. You have to look at the full budget. So I question the transparency of someone having to come down here and get Lori to lug it out, get Art to help me find the right page. It's on page 336. The other summary ended at 287. You could put 100 more pages, and you should put 100 more pages, and you shouldn't pass this budget until the whole budget is on the city website so people can look at it. Okay, so I found the 3rd Street Bridge, and then I went into shock because it says, the City Council goal for citizen-led and funded initiative to design and construct the 3rd Street multimodal bridge. What says I, citizen-led? 400 of us are objecting to it. And I looked at the numbers, and then I went home, and I realized that you have put $15,085. That was 6,000 of which were donated by citizens precisely to put in a pedestrian-only bridge and not a multimodal bridge. And now you're taking their money without notifying them, because some of them are here. You're taking their money and putting it into a vehicle bridge, which was what they wanted to avoid, and was also part of the 2007-30 resolution of the city that a motor bridge over Paradise Creek at 3rd Street would lead to unmitigable trade-offs, and approving instead the construction of a pedestrian bicycle bridge. And, oh, Wayne's left already. If you read that study, I think not looking ahead at 2035, but looking right away, when that bridge opens, there are going to be 2,000 cars more going past Lena Whitmore, but people who want to save 2 minutes to get to the one side of town to the other. If your goal is really safety and a great place to live and work, then what you're doing in approving this budget...
Joanne, you need to wrap it up too, please.
I will.
Thank you.
What you're doing in this budget is undercutting both of those goals. It won't be safe. There'll be too much traffic, and the traffic's going past schools. It won't be a great place to live and work because you're going to lose your beautiful core of Moscow that you're bragging about all the time, and that makes people want to live here. And what will you be gaining? You'll be gaining 2 minutes of time for people who want to get across town, and you'll be increasing the congestion at 3rd and Main. That makes people like me not want to even try to go down that street. Thank you, and I oppose passing this with just one reading unless it's further discussion. Thank you.
A couple of things, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what that number is on that pedestrian bridge, 6,000 and some odd dollars. I thought it was $7,600, Gary.
Something like that.
But rest assured, those folks that donated that money for that bridge will get it back. Simple as that. We got a list of those names, do we not?
Yes, it's not included in the $580,000.
Okay, so it's not part of that, Joanne. Well, anyway, that's the direction we're headed. And I wanted to make one other comment, and you're absolutely right. On August the 15th of last year, you folks were in here, and you were in here a number of times. If I recall, it was either 6 or 7 council sessions that we saw all kinds of things, the council up here. And one of them, of course, everybody in this room agrees we need some kind of a bridge. There's no dispute about that. And with your very own group, of course, you showed us the safety issues of kids down in that creek on bikes, pallets being thrown in there. So this council up there took that very seriously, the safety issues of that as well. So I just wanted to throw that. Now, hi, Margaret. I'll let you go. It's Margaret's turn.